All right, hello everyone. My name is Dr. Joel Rosen. I am the Adrenal Fatigue Recovery Ninja, and I want to talk to you today in this other edition of your Adrenal Fix, sex hormones and adrenal fatigue. That's what you guys voted on. I'm apologizing because I'm a little bit late today, but I want to talk about the relationship between not having any libido, not having any sex drive, being completely exhausted, not dealing with stress very well, can't focus, can't concentrate, maybe you're dealing with some anxiety, can't control your body temperature, have heart palpitations, don't crash in the middle of the day, can't stay asleep or fall asleep at night, wake up in the morning with very little energy, and how many of us feel that way? Give me a show of likes or thumbs up, because that always makes me feel good. I think there's a little delay, so I can't tell how many people are here, but that's what I wanted to talk about today. And so, okay, there we go. Now I can see the thumbs ups, and that makes me feel super happy. Someone's going crazy. All right, so what I wanted to do was I wanted to talk about this today, and I have the stereogenic pathway planner in front of me, so I'm kind of cheating a little bit, I'll admit that. They have some great PDFs, and I've put it down here in general to give you an idea, but it's really important because it starts with cholesterol, and as you guys know, cholesterol is the boogeyman, right? You're not supposed to eat healthy fats, or you're not supposed to eat any fats. In fact, the AMA would love to have your cholesterol below 150, and maybe we can put statins in the water, and we can get everyone's cholesterol really low, and we can keep, drug companies making billions of dollars. I should be quiet in not going too much into that because I don't want to rock the boat. But ultimately, cholesterol is important. Cholesterol is important for nerve function, for cell membranes, for hormone production, and when you are told to not eat healthy or fats in general, then you're already behind the substrate processing or the raw materials to be able to make your healthy fats, and that's a big problem. Not to mention people are taking statins and they don't have gallbladders, and they have major methylation issues, and they are not able to absorb their healthy fats. And so cholesterol is a big problem. It's too low. And there's more problems. You can go Google and research. There's more problems when your cholesterol levels are too low, versus when your cholesterol levels are high. Not to mention, as a good friend of mine, Dr. Ed Beyer from Chicago will say, is you'll never, ever, ever have a problem with cholesterol clogging up your arteries if you don't have inflammation and high glucose first. So what we did, a great book called The Big Fat Lie, was we ended up saying that fat was the boogeyman, and that low fat this, low fat that is the way to go, yet we get all this glucose, and now we have obesity more than we've ever had. And that's, it's interesting because cholesterol was one of those things where in the sweep of a flip of a switch, when in a weird way, you have a statin medication getting getting approved and being on the market. Now all of a sudden 320 for the upper limits of cholesterol goes down to 220 overnight. And now all of a sudden, everyone is mandated to be less than 220, and now it's less than 200, and then it's less than 180. And the problem is not the cholesterol. And here we are, 30 years later, and cholesterol levels, heart disease is worse than it's ever been. So if it was a problem with cholesterol, we would have fixed it by now. So sorry I went on a tangent on that. But healthy fats, making sure, hey Hannah, making sure that you're getting your healthy fats from your avocados and your seeds and your nuts and your healthy oils, MCT oils, omega fatty acids. Those are really, really important to start the whole process. And if you're not absorbing your healthy fats, then maybe you need some bile support, or you need some bile salts, or you need some glycine or taurine, or beet extract, or I don't like glandulars. I don't like to do the ox biles and stuff like that, because I really don't think that you're going to increase your resonance with the resonance of an animal. Not to mention, what was that animal fed? And was there grains in that food? And was there toxins and hormones and chemicals? Like, why add another variable? And so really, really important. I'm going to answer questions at the end, guys, so that I can focus, because you know me and my focus. So anyways, cholesterol turns into pregnenolone. And then what happens is pregnenolone has sort of a decision to make. Should I go down this way or should I go down this way? And it will do that in terms of, of engineering. Which way is it being pushed more versus another way? And so if we're under a lot of stress, then it's going to have the propensity to come down this pathway at the expense of your sex hormones. So typically, a pregnenolone steal is when we steal away the only certain amount of pregnenolone that we produce in a day, and we use it to feed our cortisol production. So why do we do that? Well, we're stressed out, and we can't settle down inflammation, and we have insulin resistance, and we have reactive hypoglycemia, and we're not absorbing healthy fats, we're not eating healthy fats. We have pesticides in our foods, we have sprays and chemicals, and we have antibiotics and hormones, and you have an infection, and you have nutrient deficiencies, and your body needs cortisol to settle down the inflammatory cascade that's not working properly. So what happens as a result is your DHEA goes low, your testosterone goes low, and then ultimately it impacts your sex hormones. Now, I wish it were that simple and say that's just how it works and it works every time, but it doesn't. You have things like inflammation, insulin resistance, infections that causes aromatizing, which means for males, it causes your testosterones to turn into estrogens. And for females, it causes your estrogens to turn into testosterones. So for guys, a lot of the times you'll see they get the gynecomastia, or they get really emotional, they watch a movie and they're crying. Or women, they get more irritable and angry, they have more hair loss or hair growth in unwanted places, or they have polycystic ovaries, and they have a lot of problems, and this is a breakdown of their steroidogenic hormone pathway, and a lot of it has to do with messing up your enzymes. Now, the other thing I want to talk to you about is enzymes. Enzymes are protein-based, and if you're not absorbing your proteins because your gut is no longer secreting hydrochloric acid, going on stomach acid and a proton pump inhibitor is going to help or hurt that. Seriously. If you are not making enough stomach acid, oh wait, the doctor says you're making too much stomach acid. Are you making too much stomach acid, or are you making enough stomach acid? If you're not making enough stomach acid, the food sits there and it ferments and it creates lactic acid. And yeah, taking a proton pump inhibitor will reduce the lactic acid, but it will further reduce the discrepancy of not making any hydrochloric acid. Now all of a sudden, you're not absorbing B12, you have a B12 deficiency, not to mention an MTHFR, and you have a heavy metal toxicity, and you have a lot of deficiencies of leafy green vegetables, and all of this is being impacted. Hopefully that makes sense. So you have too little stomach acid, and as a result, you're not absorbing your proteins, and you're not making enzymes. And then enzymes are going haywire and they're not doing a good job, and they start causing aromatizing, or they don't do a good job of breaking things down. So liver phases, your first phase gets sped up, or your first phase gets slowed down, your second phase gets slowed down, and now all of a sudden you have these partially metabolized enzymes or hormones that go around and junk up receptors. Now let's talk about receptors. Receptors will be messed up because we're taking hormones. And your doctor says, okay, you got to be on hormones. Let's give you hormones. And as a result, you have what's called a homotropic modulation, where you have so much hormones going in your bloodstream that there's no places to bind on the receptors, because the receptors are tired of being yelled at. So they downregulate their receptor sites, and then the hormone doesn't bind effectively because there's nowhere to go. Not to mention the methylation of methylfolate, MTHFR is not repairing your cell membranes, and they're being oxidized, and there's no place to go. And not to mention, your phase 1 is faster than your phase 2, and you have these partially metabolized hormones that have no place to go, and they junk up your receptors. So you can yell at someone louder, and you can go from 65 micrograms to 95 micrograms to 165 micrograms. And like one of the readers said, all of a sudden her heart rate's going off and on, it's fluttering around, and you're just yelling at someone louder. I mean, try to fix the problem. And try to understand what's going on, and stop yelling at someone, and start listening, in a lot of ways. If that makes sense, give me a thumbs up. So anyways, the next thing we look at is some of the impacting of these sex hormones when they don't play out properly. So one of the things that we looked at, or what I like to look at, is cortisol and cortisone. So a lot of the times what will happen is your enzymes aren't working properly, and they will convert more of your inactive cortisone to your active cortisol. And that's called 11-beta HSD. And we see a lot of people that have problems with sleeping because their 11-beta HSD is converting the inactive hormone to the active hormone. And think about why it would do that. Because someone's been under stress for so long, and their receptor sites aren't working, they're not getting any healthy fats, they're not absorbing their proteins, they're not making enzymes, and there's no messages to bind to the receptors, and your hormones are saying there's nothing here. And it squeezes out the sponge as much as it possibly can, and it converts the sort of the active reserves into the deployed troops. And you feel broken down all the time. You feel like you can't repair yourself, and you're exhausted, and you're wired and tired. You want to look at your 11-beta HSD to help that out. And some of the supplements that can be really helpful for that, I'm cheating again, are, let's take a look, is I know it's Magnolia, it's not on there, I'm remembering this, is Magnolia, Zispis, Scutellaria, citrus peel extract. I love this one. They say good quality sleep will help that 11-beta HSD. It's like, well, okay, I have a problem with good quality sleep, so how, by me taking more good quality sleep, will I do that? So it's kind of like, that's a dumb one that they put in there. Anyway, so that's 11-beta HSD. I wanted to talk to you about that. The other things I wanted to talk to you about was taking DHEA and taking pregnenolone. So number one rule is do a test. I mean, seriously, do a test. How many people out there have been put on a hormone without doing a test? I mean, seriously. And that to me is like, okay, let's go for a drive, but let's not know where we're going, or let's not look at a map. Let's just kind of go for a drive and see if we enjoy the view. But I talked to so many people that have been on, just today, pregnenolone for 3 years. And I said, well, let's take a look at your test to see what your starting results were. Well, I never did a test. What do you mean you never did a test? Well, the doctor just put me on there. It's like, well, do a test. So before you do any type of hormone replacement, do a test. The other thing I would say is do different testing, like saliva, urine, hair, blood, all have their benefits and drawbacks. Currently, right now, I'll probably be adding the hair onto there. It just means more information that I got to learn, but that's fine. But saliva, urine, and blood, we do before and afters. And each one of them tell us something different. A lot of the times I'll see hormone levels be super high with blood and super high on urine. And so someone will say, well, let's do it the other way around. It will be low on blood or medium in blood and really high in urine. And they're taking more and more and more and more, and their doctor says, well, your blood tests are low, so let's yell at the cells a little louder. And well, doc, what about my urine tests? They're showing that I'm peeing out a lot of hormone. Oh, I don't care about that. I don't look at that. That's not real medicine. That's just some kind of gimmick, internet medicine. And so where did that hormone come from? You're just peeing out it through divine intervention? No, it's because you're taking so much, it's not being utilized. It's just not a reductionistic model where you have something high and it's low and you take more of it, or something that's low and you take, you take something more to get more of it. So, or you take something less to get less of it. It just doesn't work that way. The body doesn't work that way. So number one, get a test. Number two, do different types of tests. Don't just do saliva, or don't just do urine, or don't just do blood. Do multiple, so you can look at, when you do an x-ray, when a doctor does an x-ray, they don't just do it from front on, because if there's a crack in the side, you need an oblique view. Or hopefully you get a perpendicular view. So you have one from the front, you have one from the side, and hopefully you have one from an oblique view so that you can visualize the whole thing. Why doesn't that make sense with the blood test, or the urine test, or your saliva test, or your hair test? There's going to tell you different benefits from different things, and you may be seeing that the free fraction of the hormone looks good in the saliva, but it looks terrible in the urine, or it looks good in the urine and terrible in the saliva. So you can tell different things on that. Or you may see that some of your metabolites are going down one pathway and one of the enzymes is upregulated, and then you look at your 23andMe and you can say, oh, that makes sense. That enzyme's snipped. It doesn't work properly. Oh, and then you look at your blood test and you say, oh, well, you're not absorbing your proteins. And people say to me, wow, Dr. Rosen, you really put all the pieces of the puzzle together. And it's like, yeah, that's what the body is. The body is, puts all the pieces of the puzzle together. The heart and the lungs and the oxygen and the pH and your kidneys and your liver and your adrenals and your brain and your pituitary. They don't do something just head on. They do it on oblique angles. They communicate with each other, and you need to look at all of the things together to really get a better picture of what's going on. But back to this. So going into your sex hormones. So what can you do? Should I be on hormone replacement? I look at that as a triage, meaning you got to fix the problem. And being on hormones for the rest of your life, in my opinion, is not fixing the problem. So you can do, like, I got a headache, I take something to help my headache right now, but ultimately I want to figure out why I keep getting the headache. That's what, to me, hormones are. Some people have some, knock on wood, genetic problems and health conditions that they can't make hormones, and that could be beneficial at very, very low dosages. But even with them, looking at their gut health, looking at their diet, looking at stabilizing their glucose, looking at their immune system, looking at how well they absorb healthy fats, looking at protein absorption, looking at antioxidant status, all of those things, genetic predispositions, all of those things need to be looked at. I think I went on a tangent there. So some of the other things that I find impacting this is autoimmunities. We don't obviously see the pituitary's relationship with all of these and the pituitary hormones. That's what blood's good for. You can look at the pituitary hormones, and you can even look at the free fraction of the hormone in blood. It's a little more expensive, but you can look at those things for the blood. That's why we do the blood, is we look at the pituitary hormones. So you got to look at all of them. And then as far as going on certain hormones, do I think that you should? Depends. I think in the interim, in the short term, if there's a hysterectomy, or there is a lot of absorption issues, or there's major autoimmunities, or there's major imbalances, it could be helpful for a while. But it means that you did a test before, you did a protocol, you implemented it, and you did a test after. And then you said, hey, what changed? What stayed the same? What got better? Or more importantly, Mr. Patient, how are you feeling? Do you have any improvements? Do you see that your energy levels are better? What are you doing about your diet? Have you stabilized your glucose? Are you still eating foods that you react to? How's your life? Are you grateful? Do you have a good supportive family unit? Do you have a job that you enjoy? Are you living in a moldy home? These things have nothing to do with hormones. They have to do with your stress levels. So that's kind of, I'm off the cuff here because I 6:30 happened before I blinked my eyes. It's like, oh crap, I don't have anything prepared for today. So here's what I had prepared. I'm just looking at my tracker to see if there's anything else that I can tell you that could be really helpful. One of the things that we look at is people will ask me about DIM, and DIM is I3C, indole 3-carbinol, or cruciferous vegetables. That's really helpful if we have estrogen dominance and you're going down a wrong pathway, and your enzymes are upregulated to go down 16-OH or 4-OH, which could be more problematic for estrogen cancers, and you want to go down the more healthy 2-OH pathway, then DIM and I3C will be helpful. As far as methylation goes, COMT is a very common enzyme that's not working well, that doesn't allow you to clear out the phase 2 estrogen metabolites or phase 1 estrogen metabolites that don't get processed, and those are the things that can recirculate and cause many, many problems. I don't know if that's everything that I wanted to talk about today, but I sort of rambled on there. So let me go through these questions, and if you have any questions, just let me know and I'll try my best to answer them. So Rita, what about more healthy fats with no gallbladder? Is that a problem for us? In the beginning, it's a great question. You have to titrate up. The body is very adaptive. I went to a presentation recently, and they talked about thyroid tissues, thyroid gland being removed. They hadn't removed all of it, and it regenerated. And the body does that. Guess what? The body heals, and it's restorative, and it's regenerative. And so you can absorb healthy fats with no gallbladder. You need bile acids or bile supports or other things that can help support that. And you may need that for the rest of your life, but you can titrate up and slowly eat more healthy fats and get your body used to it. And that means simultaneously lowering your carb intake so that you're not just feeding your glycolysis into Krebs cycle and becoming only a fat burner and what I call being metabolically inflexible. So it's not a problem by slowly starting out by eating more, getting used to it, eating less carbs, helping some bile support stuff. I like Bilamin through PRL. I'll put the link in there after there. Gallbladder ND is really good. Coffee enemas and castor oil packs are really, really helpful. Hannah, hi there. Shara, I hope you're doing well. I haven't heard from you for a while. And Arminda, hope you're doing well as well. How much MCT oils? I said MCT oils at the same time. MCT oils. To start out with, keep making me sick, so I'm afraid to even take 1 teaspoon. I would look at getting some bile support. Maybe some taurine or glycine or again, Bilamin or Bilavin or anything that helps with gallbladder support, and start off really slow. And maybe, I don't know, I don't know what to tell you. You just have to start off even lower than what you're doing. My life has been mostly stressful. I have adrenal suppression also per a doctor years ago. Okay. Melinda. That's an interesting name, Melinda. I like it, though. Hi, what are your thoughts on 7-keto DHEA versus regular DHEA? I've heard positive things about it and I don't see the rest of the comment. I'm sorry. Again, I'd have to test. I'd have to look at what your starting points are and see that it's a short-term thing, and it may be more bioavailable. But I would be looking at, why is there a pregnenolone steal? And are you aromatizing? Is there glucose issues? Like I say, don't trip over dollars to save pennies, and look at the bigger picture and look at why DHEA is low in the first place. It's not because you have a DHEA supplementation deficiency. It's because something's stealing it. And whether DHEA keto is better than regular DHEA is moot, because there's bigger fish to fry. Hopefully that made sense. Hi, Cheryl. God bless you too. And I really, it's interesting. I'll tell you a story. I'm not a religious guy. I'm very, very spiritual. My dad's side of the family is Jewish, and my mom's side of the family were Irish, Protestant, and so I didn't even know the origin of the name Joel. And so I was in Jamaica. We went to Jamaica my reading week. We call it reading week in Canada when you're going through your spring break. And I went, I was 21 years old. And I went there, and the driver said to me, "Oh, Joel, it's a prophet." And I was like, I didn't even know. And so I look at it, I was really proud actually when I found that out, because it is my mission to help people in health and to give as much information as I possibly can. And how did I even talk about that? Oh, because you were saying God bless. God bless you too. So so that's my mission. So if there's any other questions, I'm sorry I rambled on at the end there. I love your guys' feedback. I did a Facebook post and I uploaded it to YouTube, and someone told me to move the camera back and sit up straight. So I love the feedback. And I look forward to helping you guys as much as I possibly can. So if there's no more questions, I'm sorry I wasn't as prepared as I possibly could have been for this particular Facebook Live, but I hope you found it helpful. I hope my goal is to sort of, kick over the sacred cows and have you think about healthcare a little bit differently, and thinking about not being so caught up in the forest or the trees in the forest, but sort of the bigger picture. And are you doing things, inherently? Because, the more I study, actually here's how nerdy I am. I was going to bed last night, I was reading a biochemistry book, and it's so funny because I have to balance the biochemistry with life. And so with the biochemistry, you can learn the pathways and oxidation and, chemistry, bio 101. But, life 101 is, counting your blessings and being grateful for what you have, and recognizing how much you kick butt and how much you show up every day. And when someone tells you something that you don't agree with, breathing in and processing that information at the ear level, different than the cellular level. Meaning you're in charge of how you process the information, and you're in charge of the outlook you have on life, and you're in charge of what you put in your mouth, and you're in charge of how you use your brain, and you're in charge of your surroundings and your environment, and things that are supportive or things that are nurturing versus things that are destructive and non-supportive. Those out-trump, and sorry to use that word, but those out-trump the biochemistry. And so don't be so fixated on, I'm taking this, is 7 keto better than this one? What about, I heard that pregnenolone is good, or I heard that, if I take this aromatase blocker, or if I, get on something that can help with lowering this, that, or the other, that could be really good. Yeah, it could be. How's your diet? And how many carbs do you eat a day? And when was the last time that you had a day off and that you traveled and that you went on vacation? And when was the last time you looked in the mirror and said, you are worthy and you are valuable and you're awesome and you kick ass? I mean, how many times have you done that? I mean, I'm talking about sex hormones, and I'm talking about environmental, just positive energy. So anyways, I got on a tangent there, but I hope you found that valuable. And if there's anything I could ever do for you guys, let me know. That's what my goal is to help you awaken from your adrenal fatigue nightmare. Hope you enjoyed this version. My name is Dr. Joel Rosen. I am the Adrenal Fatigue Recovery Ninja, and I look forward to helping you with your nightmare. Thank you so much, guys.